What if the life you've worked so hard to build is actually the one holding your soul back? You weren't born to wake up tired, push through your week, and live for weekends, right? You weren't meant to settle for success that feels so empty. And if you're feeling that quiet nudge, that there is something more out there for you, you're not alone. That is your soul calling you forward. And in this video, I want to help you start answering that call. I have worked with so many women who say the same thing. I built the life I was told to want to, but I feel so disconnected. I don't feel like me anymore. And honestly, I get it. I totally get it because I lived it for a long time. And I remember my mom telling me to get a job with the government. And I really didn't understand then why. But she kept saying it's great because it's something stable, something safe, and retirement and pension and security in this whole package that seems to be very ideal, right? Because nothing to be worried about in the future. And it was so interesting though, because my dad, he's never worked for anyone else. He started his own business at 21 and ran it ever since. There were ups and downs, of course, just like with any other businesses, but we had some sort of financial freedom. So hearing my mom say, play it safe, while being married to an entrepreneur, it felt kind of contradictory. But now I understand why, but I had no clue back then. And then, of course, that's a whole nother story. But anyway, I left Japan at 23 to chase my dream, and I came to New York. I thought I was going to build something adventurous and exciting, right? Something so extraordinary. Maybe starting a business and creating something on my own terms. But life had totally different plans. I found myself in a corporate world, working in fashion, which I loved, but over time, I got so comfortable. And of course, completely depleted and also bored. I started to feel so empty and totally disconnected from myself. And I thought, is this it? And then life unraveled. I went through marriage, divorce, and another marriage that didn't work out. And that's when my dark night of soul really began. But now I see how necessary it all was. Every piece, the corporate life, the burnout, the heartbreak, it was all part of my soul's plan. And maybe that's where you are right now. You can't quite explain it, but you know the life you've been living and just isn't it anymore. And that's not the problem though. That's a portal. It is the invitation to your awakening path. That's your soul waking up. So let's talk about where this awakening usually begins. Because in order to step into your truth, you first have to see the illusion you've been living inside. So the first step in the breaking free, that is where it all begins. Waking up from the life you were conditioned to live. Most of us were raised with a very specific script. Good grades, go to college, and get a great job, work hard, and be responsible. And don't ask too much, keep your head down, and so on. And maybe, if you're lucky, you get a few years of freedom at the end of it all. And the cycle continues. You do the same to your child, if you have one or more. It sounds familiar? We are taught that this external security is more important than your passion. The comfort is safer than freedom. That's what the society tries to program you to play safe. But what if that script wasn't actually written for you? I had to ask myself some hard, honest questions. Who did I really build this life for? How did I end up in life that looks successful on the outside, but feel so empty on the inside. What do I actually want? Not what I was told I should want. Why do I feel like I'm playing small when I know there's something so much bigger inside me? So those questions cracked something open in me. They weren't easy though, but they were the beginning of everything real. Then I started noticing that I was feeling so constrained. Nobody was really telling me to play small, but I was the one who put myself in this small container to avoid the fear of the unknown. This 9 to 5 model, well, for me, it was more like 9 to 9 or even later, but the constant output, the grind, it's part of the collected timeline, something humanity as a whole has been living inside of. But timelines can be outgrown, and in fact, they're meant to be. So if you're feeling the ache, the burnout, the quiet voice of, I can't do this anymore, that's not failure. That's your inner wisdom rising. That's your soul letting you know this isn't it, there's more. That discomfort is a signal. It's not meant to be ignored, it's meant to be answered. If you don't answer, the voice is gonna just get louder and louder and louder until you just cannot ignore anymore. This is the moment where you get to ask, what do I believe is truly possible for me now? And that single question is the first crack of light in an old timeline. And once I started asking those deeper questions, something shifted. It was like I finally gave myself permission to get honest, to admit that the life that I was living wasn't fully mine and that I was ready to come home to myself. That's when the real work began. Not in chasing something new, but in remembering who I truly am underneath it all. Because to live your soul mission, you have to reconnect with your true essence. You're not your resume, you're not your job title, or your responsibilities. You're not here just to pay bills. You are a radiant sovereign being. And beneath all the noise, your essence is waiting for you to remember her. You always have to come back to this question. What really excites me? What gives me true joy? What do I truly enjoy? What lights me up? Because you're not here to live your life for someone else's term. Yes, you can love and support others, your family, but your joy matters too. When something lights you up, follow it, even if it's so small, and see how far it can take you. For me, the path really opened through my own healing journey. Part of my soul contracts in this lifetime is to serve as a healer, facilitating others to heal. And of course, that calling found me through my own pains, my own healing. But as I started to support others on their journey, I felt something awaken in me. Helping others break free from whatever was holding them back, the emotional pains and trauma, the energetic blocks. It honestly brought me so much joy. It gave everything that I went through real meaning. I'll never forget the moment when I received my very first certification in a healing modality. There was this overwhelming sensation that swept throughout my body, my whole body, and this wave of joy and light that I knew came from my spirit guides. They literally were all around me, celebrating, cheering, holding me in this blanket of love and light. And in that moment, I knew I was on the right path. From that point on, it's like my guides kept sprinkling little bits of light sparkles, signs and joy and synchronicities every time I took a step forward. It wasn't always easy though, but that quiet affirmation kept me going. And each time I deepened, I received more confirmation and more alignment and more truth. That's the beauty of reconnecting with your essence. And the more you trust those whispers, the more your soul starts to sing. So make some space, get quiet, let your heart speak. That's where your mission begins. And the more I reconnected with my true essence, the clearer everything became. It wasn't that I suddenly had all the answers, but I was getting more aligned. And that was just enough for me to keep going. And once you're aligned with your soul, the next step isn't about having the perfect plan. It is about starting to create from that place, wherever you are, not from pressure, not from fear, but from truth. It is about the alignment and how aligned your life can become. So let's talk about what that actually looks like. Because stepping into your mission doesn't have to be a giant leap, but you have to start creating from your soul, not just from your mind. The key is to take the first step and act on it. For me, it looked like stepping away from things that didn't feel true anymore, making space for my spiritual work, saying yes to the work that truly nourished me, even when it scared me, as everything was the unknown without any guaranteed financial stability or security. And now I wake up excited, energized. I'm doing something that really fulfills me with purpose. That's not an accident, it's an alignment. When you start taking even smaller steps from your soul, even though you might feel scared, not from your mind, not from your survival, life starts to unfold, right? It could be that unexpected doors open, a bunch of new ideas start to flowing in, synchronicities show up out of nowhere, and suddenly the path that once felt impossible starts to feel inevitable. And you're not just dreaming anymore. You are aligning and you're living it. So this is exactly what I support people with through spiritual coaching, Ascentiah healing sessions, and energy work. It's not just about living your job. It's about clearing what's blocking your truth so you can remember who you really are and start building your life from that place. You were never meant to shrink into someone else's story. You came here to live your truth, to express your soul, to experience joy, freedom, and deep fulfillment. If something in you is stirring, if this spoke to your heart, send me a message below or book a free strategy session to see how I can support you on your journey back to your truth. And if this video supported you, like it, subscribe, and then share it with another woman you love who's ready to rise. Thank you for watching.